This is the Padua Podcast Network. You'll find descriptions of people doing bad things, enemies besieging, thieves, corrupt businessmen, and we're plagued with those today too. Running a Fever, episode 213. How long, O Lord? How long, O Lord, will I call for help, and thou wilt not hear? I cry out to thee, violence! Yet thou dost not save. You know, it seems like forever we've been quarantined, wearing masks, wiping down our groceries, and acting like everyone around us has the plague. And is that what it is? A plague? That Bible quote is from the prophet Habakkuk. And like much of the Bible, that whole chapter is written so that it easily applies to our life today. Or any time, really. Northwest Arkansas right now is a hot spot, and I'm concerned about that. Checked last Thursday, and there were 234 new cases in these few counties in one day. A population of about 500,000. Well, maybe. I'm thinking it's safe to say between 200 and 300,000. Anyway, point is, it's not Dallas. It's not St. Louis. It's not Memphis. It's not a big city. But the quote also mentions violence. And if you read on in Habakkuk chapter 1, you'll find descriptions of people doing bad things. Enemies besieging, thieves, corrupt businessmen, and we're plagued with those today too, especially the violent criminals infiltrating peaceful protests against the murder of George Floyd. Now, this isn't a sermon, and if you're interested in the problem of evil, why, if there is a God, he allows bad things to happen, Habakkuk might be a good book to study. No, this is a podcast about fitness, diet, and medicine. And the answer, of course, to the question how long, is that we need to practice protective measures until COVID-19 is under control. When each case can be found early and treated as successfully as we now treat flu viruses, the seasonal flu virus. So here are the guidelines again. Number 1, wash your hands often. Number 2, avoid close contact. Number 3, cover your mouth and nose with a cloth face cover when around others. Number 4, cover coughs and sneezes. Number 5, clean and disinfect. Number 6, monitor your health. So, of course, there's a lot more detail at cdc.gov, and I encourage you greatly there's so much information coming in on this thing. I encourage you to make that website your source of COVID-19 information. Everything you need to know is there. I have a direct link in the show notes, and please read this and just, let the CDC be your source of information. So speaking of that, I was on YouTube recently listening to Sade, one of my favorite bands of all time. Do you know, little known fact, when Sade started out in the 80s, and that was back in the day when, they actually sent records to radio stations. And on the record, it actually had a pronunciation of the name, Sade. Sade is also the name of the band. It's not just the singer. Anyway, probably not interesting to most people, but Sade is one of my favorite bands of all time. And an ad came on YouTube, and this was, it looked like it was from the CDC, and it said, was given all these guidelines, and it said you should only wear a mask if you are sick. Now, this conflicts with what I just told you, which is directly from the website. So I emailed the CDC about it, and I'm waiting for a response. But I think the YouTube ad was in error. The logic is that you could bring in an infection if your mask is contaminated. That could bring in an infection somewhere. But I think the proper message is wash your cloth mask often or use disposable masks only once. And I need to do better about that. But I am wearing a mask when I go out. Another small correction to some previous episodes. When I was walking around the lake, I would, once I went out with my friend Jill and her dog Sachi, and I also usually meet dogs because people walk their dogs there with them. So I mentioned these animals, and I assumed they could not get the COVID-19 virus, but I have since learned, again from the CDC website, that a small number of pets have tested positive for the virus. However, the risk of spread to humans from pets is low. Of course, there's plenty of information on this at cdc.org, and I'll put a link to that particular page in the notes. So you might want to check that out if you have pets. How long? Until COVID-19 is under control. And we will get it under control. We have faced such challenges before, and we will prevail. And we must. Because all lives matter. Thank you for listening. If you got the fever, keep it. If you don't have it, get it, catch it. Tell all your friends, and I will talk to you next time on Running a Fever.